What an absolute effort.
How about that? Got a win in the very first ever STL City game happening in Austin, Texas over the weekend. And we are now officially an MLS soccer city. That was redundant. We are an MLS city here in St. Louis. That was a lot of fun. Amy Marks-Kors is back from her sabbatical. I don't know what you did, but you were gone for 2 days. Amy's back. I'm Chris Ranji. This is the show. The phone number to call, 314-436-7900. You can text that number also, and you can leave a voicemail at 944-1120. 314-944-1120. We are on the socials, Twitter and Instagram. Both handles are at the show, KMOX. And that call that you heard is, it happened on Y98. 98.1 FM is the home of STL City Soccer, the soccer club for the near future and foreseeable future. Will be right here at Odyssey St. Louis. So that was Joey and Dale on the call. And how about this? Like a big win to start the year, to start the franchise. Missed the first goal. I didn't see the first goal.
Okay, wait a minute. You went to a bar to celebrate this first game, to watch this first game. How did you miss the first goal?
I did. Okay, well, first of all, on the St. Louis City website, the soccer team's website, there is a list of official watch party bars because not everybody's going to have Apple TV. In fact, a lot of businesses don't have it. You know, they have DirecTV or AT&T or whatever, but not many places have the Apple TV. So there is an official list of places you can go that will have game sound. I picked one of those, and I'm not going to pick on this bar, but we went, and 14 minutes into the game, Apple TV went out. And we thought, okay, they'll fix it. They'll get on it. Missed the entire rest of the first half. Missed most of the second half. We walked down the street to a different place because we heard somebody went home and got their Apple TV box, brought it to the bar, and connected it to the TV.
That's pretty funny.
Because that bar doesn't have Apple TV Plus. So we watched the rest of the game on this one TV with no sound. So I did see the last two goals. I saw the game winner, or the tying goal, and then I saw the game winner and the end of it, and it was great. So that was fun. It just, I thought of this, Amy. You know how people are resistant to technology and they're resistant to change. This is going to be a big change for a lot of people to watch those games on Apple TV Plus. And for a lot of establishments, they just don't have it. You know, they're not subscribed to it. I wonder how many places will adjust to that as time goes on. You would think you'd have to, especially if St. Louis City becomes a really big deal in town.
Yeah. Do you have Apple TV personally?
I do.
Okay. I don't have Apple TV, but I really don't have anything. I had Hulu.
Yeah.
And then paused it for a while. Had YouTube, and then the whole Bally Sports, Fox Sports, Midwest, that went away. So I didn't use my YouTube. I feel like there's something to the resistance, though, against all of these streaming services, because you could say, well, it's technology. Well, it's not so much the technology. It's that everything is, like I said, the balkanization of entertainment. Everything is so split up to, if you want to watch this show, you have to have this streaming service.
Yes.
You have to have Hulu. You have to have Peacock. You have to have Netflix. Now you have to have Apple TV. And to know, okay, it used to be what channel is the game on? Now it's which streaming service. Do we have that service? Do I have to sign in? It's kind of a pain. I get that. And I don't know. You would think a bar, if it's just MLS, and I don't want to say just MLS, but if it's that sport, that's the sport that's on Apple TV. How many bars say, okay, we're going to do Apple TV for these? How many games will they have? 30?
Yeah, something like that. 30-ish. Yeah, I mean, I think you would have to. Is it 34? Is that the amount of games? You would kind of have to, because if there's a market for it, and I can speak to the place that I went to, everybody who was in there, almost everybody, I'd say like 90% of people were wearing some STL City gear.
Yeah.
So they came out for the game. And if that goes out, if the Wi-Fi goes out, if your internet service goes out or that app goes out, that is a problem. And, I've been to a place where DirecTV is showing the game, and maybe weather comes in, like some
Mhm.
storms come in, and the signal gets interrupted. That happens with satellite a lot. I feel like more things can go wrong when it comes to relying on wireless,
And
relying on internet to be working.
and obviously in this case, it was just for whatever reason the bar's Apple TV
Yeah, the
wasn't
guy-
working.
I overheard the guy say to somebody else, "Well, we tested it multiple times this week, and everything was working well." And then game time showed up, and then you have
It's such a bummer.
gremlins in the system. But it was look. I know this much: you'll never miss out on Y98, though.
That's exactly right. If you needed yet another reason to download the Odyssey app,
That's right.
this is it, because you can listen to the show on
Yep.
KMOX, and you'll also on that app listen to 98.1 and the STL City games.
Yeah, you can do all of that stuff. Go back and get our podcast too. All of them are for free on the Odyssey app. But it was exciting. The
Mhm.
game was exciting. We always have the conversation about St. Louis needing new things. We need stuff. We need there to be more activities. We need
Mhm.
there to be more attractions, things for people to do, things for people to come in from other cities to see. And I know MLS isn't the most well-known league in the country, but it is growing. It has been growing for several years now, and it's awesome that we have a thing.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful building just a few blocks away from where we work. That place looks awesome. It looks amazing at night when it's lit up. I'm very excited about having that in the city, and hoping that it attracts more businesses around it. And we know that a few are popping up. There are a couple of Maggie O'Brien's has been there. The Pitch is
Mhm.
opening up across the street, and I think today is their first day actually. So we should see more growth. And to me, that is the most important thing about that soccer team being here. It's not just that we have a team to watch. It's that for a city that desperately needs growth, this is a thing that can help that. Is it going to be a cure-all? Is it going to be a significant addition of growth in the city? I don't know about that, but it's something.
Yeah, and it is. When you go to the stadium, my first thought is, wow, this doesn't feel like St. Louis. This
No, it
feels
feels
really nice.
yes.
It feels like a pop-up stadium to show you what it feels like to live in a different city. I mean, that sounds really bad, but that's what it feels like.
That's an interesting way to put it.
That's how I felt when I was there. It's such a beautiful stadium, the soccer specific stadium. You've got Union Station just on the south side of the stadium. You have the new Maggie O'Brien's, as you mentioned, even the practice fields. The whole area is just
Yeah.
so beautiful. However, as we continue to talk about rampant crime in St. Louis, the lawlessness that seems to prevail on city streets, and how generally, day in, day out, there is this danger of just living your life in the city. Every intersection. Well, if people aren't following the rules at intersections, that's a dangerous place to be. So I feel like what we're doing is we're juxtaposing these incredible events and arenas, the spectacle of an MLS game, with the danger and lawlessness of just everyday life, especially in the evenings in downtown St. Louis. We need a city that doesn't just come to life in flashes, like during a soccer game.
I agree with
or
you.
during a
Yeah.
baseball game. That's when the city comes to life and you think, here it is, here's what it could be. And then it fizzles out and everybody goes home. And then you end up with the city where cars are speeding through intersections. We talked about what happened last week, the tragic incident of, crime not being prosecuted, criminals not being prosecuted, and lawlessness on the streets resulted in a 16-year-old girl having both legs amputated. And then just a couple of days ago, another deadly crash. Traffic laws were ignored. A car sped through a red light, went around the stopped traffic, crashed their SUV
At Forest Park and Grand.
at Forest Park and Grand.
Yep.
4 people killed and 4 people critically injured.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment, and the juxtaposition that up against the Kim Gardner press conference from last week, and all of this is kind of tied in together. It's not look, where we're talking about this new soccer stadium and a new soccer team, and it's great that we have it. It feels like progress, but then you're kind of blindsided by the reality of what's going on in the city overall. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. This is the show on KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Declare financial freedom from car payments in 3 easy steps. 1. Visit Genesis of St. Charles during our amazing Payment Freedom event. 2. Choose your favorite new ride. 3. Drive payment free until summer 2023. Make no payments until summer 2023 at Genesis of St. Charles. Genesis of St. Charles, located in the St. Charles Hyundai building, located a quarter mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off I-70, or visit online at genesisofstcharles.com. Interest, if any, accrues during the deferral period, expires 2/28/23.
Show me hope, St. Louis, because the stress and anxiety following disasters can be challenging. Show me hope, St. Louis, because you are never alone. Show me hope, St. Louis, because resources from the Missouri Department of Mental Health are available to help you manage stress and get the support you need. If you are impacted by the recent floods in St. Louis, the Show Me Hope Crisis Counseling Program is here with support for yourself or a loved one. Find local providers at moshowmehope.org.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
When children were being fatally injured by window blind cords, Honor Law took on the manufacturers to have dangerous cords banned.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618 $9
They say good things come to those who wait, unless you bite into a Hot Pocket right out of the microwave. Waiting to see a financial advisor about retirement could also bring some pain. The pain of watching your money evaporate in a stock market decline. The pain of trying to figure out Social Security and Medicare on your own. Or the pain of writing huge checks to the IRS that you really didn't have to. At the All Financial Group, they believe the more you know, the better decisions they can make. They offer a complimentary retirement assessment. Find out where you are, how you're doing, and if there's a way to improve your retirement outcome. Don't wait. Call the All Financial Group today, 636-230-8824, or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com and set up your complimentary retirement review.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. BWA and All Financial Group, LLC are separate companies.
KMOX celebrates Black History Month, honoring Black icons.
Sidney Poitier was a Bahamian American actor, director, and diplomat. Poitier was the first Black man to receive an Academy Award for Best Actor. Poitier's skills as an actor opened the door for many subsequent actors who wanted to mirror him. Many of the roles Sidney Poitier portrayed shook up the status quo, challenging the roles that were typically assigned to African American actors.
KMOX, celebrating Black artists, athletes, and trailblazers all month long. More at KMOX.com.
Spring is the perfect time for a refresh, and at Ashley, you'll find the pieces you love. Shop now with financing options for every budget. Get 60 months no interest with no down payment. Ashley's biggest event of the year is going on now. Shop hot deals starting at $199. Plus, shop Ashley Sleep Doorbuster mattresses. Your choice Comfort Queen mattress, now only $399. Text 79975 to schedule your appointment today. The Orange event is happening now. In-store only at Ashley.
Connect with KMOX on air, online, 1120 a.m., 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji on the show on KMOX, welcoming your text messages, 314-436-7900. You did mention, Amy, before we went to break, on Saturday morning, well, I guess it was early Sunday morning, at about 1:30 in the morning, there was the accident that cost 4 people their lives. It happened on Grand and Forest Park. Which is an intersection. I go past that intersection a lot. There's a Starbucks there. I go to that one sometimes. I will take that to work, a couple of times a week. I have like 3 different routes that I take to go to work. And that's one of them, and it is an extremely awkward intersection. And I can see where it'd be dangerous, mostly for people who are exiting from Forest Park, onto Grand and making a right hand or a left hand turn, because sometimes you can't see the cross traffic. Like if you're not
Right.
pulled up far enough, it's awkward. It's
It's
not built well, but that's not what happened here.
Right, right. Because the intersection itself, as you mentioned, is odd, and people will know it. Was it the Wave Taco or the Del Taco?
Del Taco
Del
used to be
Taco.
there.
It's right at the SLU campus.
Right,
Everybody
that
knows this
circular
intersection.
building.
Yep. Everybody knows that intersection, and they also know how Forest Park Parkway is underneath Grand.
Yeah, it's an
at that
underpass.
point.
Yep.
Yep. And there was a car that was speeding through a red light, and what it did, instead of stopping where the traffic was stopped at the red light, it went into oncoming traffic to go around the stopped traffic so it could go through the red light. It crashed into an SUV. So an SUV carried a total of 8 people. 4 were taken to the hospital and 4 were killed. And what happened is, when that car, the crash caused the Impala, that's the one that a Chevy Impala, to run the red light. It went west on the Forest Park entrance ramp, came to a stop. The SUV went through the bridge on the guardrail and flipped over onto the street below, and it landed upside down.
Yeah.
That's where the 4 people were killed. Just a horrific crash. And also one of those examples of people not following traffic laws. It sounds so simple, and it's actually something that you can stop. This is crime. They call it traffic violence. That's stoppable. We can talk about all the levels that contribute to violent crime and gun violence, and whether it's poverty, education, the guns, the proliferation of guns. Sure. We can stop traffic violence. The city of St. Louis isn't enforcing traffic laws, and the less you enforce them, the more people are going to know that, hey, I can do whatever I want. It's a cavalier disregard of any rules. It costs people their lives. And just to say this, we were talking about the MLS Stadium and how cool it is. This very much feels to me like the scene from Wizard of Oz, where you have all the pomp and the display and the ostentatious smoke and sound of the great Oz. And they walk up to him and he's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's what we're doing. We're putting up these stadiums. We have Cardinals baseball. The zoo is free. It's great. And we're telling people, pay no attention to the crime that's going on. It's unsustainable unless you want your city to only thrive in 4 or 5 hour windows.
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. I don't believe the people who are involved with City SC, that's what they're thinking. Hey, pay no attention to the crime. I mean, they're
not thinking
they're really
that.
trying to make a product that people want to come see, but it's just the overall feeling in the city, and some of it is narrative driven. And I do think some of it is political, but there's no escaping the reality that this isn't, it could be a great city. It's not a great city now. And it could be a great city in the future. But at this moment, we are not that. And I don't think that you can be, as long as there is the feeling of, at minimum, discomfort. I mean, when I am in the city, I don't feel afraid for myself. I don't feel like, oh gosh, something bad is going to happen to me. At most, I feel like there's unease, though. And maybe it's because I've lived in cities for 20 years now, like in downtown type areas for 20 years. Maybe I'm more used to it, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
Like, it's very clearly not good. And that perception, and some of it very much reality, is making this city not live up to its potential. And it's got a lot of potential. We've talked to people who want to develop certain parts of downtown, saying, hey, the infrastructure is great. There could be so many different things that are done with this city and done with the downtown area to bring people to it, to have them work there and live there. But that potential is not being realized.
And I wonder, too, when you see, again, every day, there's not a day that I don't come to work, you don't see somebody running a red light, blowing through a stop sign. Andy Kranzif of Crown Candy has his security video. Every day. It's like every car. It'll be 15 cars in a row that just blow through stoplights, or stop signs, excuse me. And some of this is made possible because there isn't traffic downtown.
Yeah.
If there were traffic downtown, it's
that
harder.
wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. If there's a lot of traffic and it's difficult to get 3 or 4 blocks because there are so many people,
Yeah.
nobody's running through those red lights.
But it feels like speed waves sometimes downtown.
Yeah, it does. I'll admit, I run a red light every now and then because there is one intersection here where that light is red for 15 minutes
Mhm.
and there's no cross traffic. Don't tell anybody I do that. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji, you're listening to the show.
It was heard live on KMOX.
An absolutely wild news conference by Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner that devolved into a rally.
And what did Dave Glover think about it?
Personally, my initial response is that was so much worse than I could have ever dreamt. This is one of the most embarrassing days in the history of St. Louis politics. What an embarrassing joke that entire thing was. My only solace is that anyone with half a brain out there listening or watching can see through this.
Dave Glover speaks his mind.
There's no way that just happened.
Weekdays beginning at 1 on KMOX.
Let the 2023 MLS season begin for St. Louis City SC.
Now, Y98 presents 90 and 60. A look back at St. Louis City's inaugural match against Austin FC.
Now Leuven, second corner of the night, opposite side of beauty, a laser. Oh, baby! Our city, our spirit, our first.
Here's an over-the-top ball to Driussi. Left foot floats one, and it's in the back of the cage. Tie game. Shot by Gallagher off the far post and in. Austin FC makes a 2-1 advantage.
Huge giveaway in deep wood. Goal! Jared Stroud! Klaus down the right side of the box, cuts it back toward the middle. Oh! 3-2 St. Louis City.
Close to a minute left in stoppage time. A flick on. Cross it here. Oh, failed bar exam. Luckily, a header went off the bar, and now the whistle blows. St. Louis City SC victorious. 3-2, a historic night.
This has been 90 and 60. St. Louis City SC hosts Charlotte Saturday night at City Park. Pre-game coverage begins at 7 on Y98 St. Louis.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And did we mention it's aluminum free? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 903 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 903. LUMEdeodorant.com, code 903 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 903.
Hey guys, Glover here, and I see clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Malhotra, and you can too. Go to youridoc.com today or call 314-966-5000.
At 10:30, we have sunny skies and 59 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. The Oklahoma City area is surveying damage after multiple tornadoes touched down overnight in the hard-hit community of Norman. Police Chief Kevin Foster says there have been no fatalities from the storm.
Very minor injuries. The most severe, I believe, was a broken leg, and that was due to a car accident.
An earthquake shook southeast Turkey Monday, killing 1, injuring 69, and causing 29 buildings to collapse. Video footage shot atop an animal welfare charity shows people working on a vehicle covered in rubble from a collapsed building. The quake comes 3 weeks after a catastrophic one that devastated the region, killing almost 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria. Over the weekend, the St. Louis Wheel at Union Station was lit in purple in honor of Janae Edmondson. Purple is the volleyball player's favorite color. Meanwhile, the GoFundMe account set up for Janae and her family has received more than $571,000. Donations can be dropped off this week as well between 9 and 5 at the convention center. Eat Well, a niche grocery store created by Schnucks, will be open for the first time Wednesday, March 29th. The 30,000 square foot store will be at Boone's Crossing in Chesterfield. It features what they consider to be healthier offerings with more natural and organic foods. Before we take a look at the commute, let's go to KMOX's Kevin Killeen joining us live with some breaking news regarding a body.
The work week starts in downtown St. Louis with a body on the sidewalk in the heart of North Tucker near Convention Plaza, Carol. This is right across the street from the Shell station, and there is the body of what looks like a man laying flat on his back with his arms splayed out. One witness said there was a bullet hole in his forehead. Police putting up a tarp around him. The area encircled with yellow tape. They're looking for what looks like shell casings. All eyes on the pavement. Also, a lot of attention being played to the nearby Terrace Lofts apartments on Convention Plaza. Police knocking on the door there, but no indication of who did the shooting or what it was all about. But a dead man on the sidewalk in front of the old Globe Democrat building on North Tucker in downtown.
That is KMOX's Kevin Killeen reporting. We will continue to follow the story. You can hear more on KMOX coming up at the top of the hour in the news, as well as following Kevin on Twitter, KMOX News on Twitter, and KMOX.com. Debris 370 eastbound being cleaned up at 94. The center lane is closed now, and there is a stall 70 westbound on the ramp from Wentzville Parkway. Be prepared to stop in that location. Debris being cleaned up 270 northbound to Manchester Road. Be prepared to stop there. And a crash 30 westbound at Lindbergh. The right lane is closed. The KMOX forecast sponsored by Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. Wind advisory in effect until 3. Damaging wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour possible this afternoon, as well as some rain showers. Look for a high around 60. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, the low 42. Right now it's partly sunny and 59 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
Attention bourbon lovers, join us for a one-of-a-kind whiskey tasting event Thursday, March 2nd at the Clayton Wine House. Get ready for a night of sipping and savoring fine spirits. Samples from Redwood Empire, Old Dominic, New Riff, Green River, Garrison Brothers, Four Roses, Devil's River, and Oak and Eden. Plus, we'll enjoy Round Pond wine and appetizers. You don't want to miss this. Get your tickets now at 971talk.com/events. That's 971talk.com/events.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Underlaw, we're looking for brave clients who have been injured and are ready to stand beside us in our fight to improve the safety of our community.
Call Underlaw Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618 $9 million.
It's the time of year where podcasts, radio stations, and TV channels share stories about the Black community for a whole 28 days. I'm Fami Redwood, host of the podcast Beyond Black History Month. We tell Black stories year-round, from dangerous hair products,
bumps of my edges begin to come out,
to the 50th anniversary of hip-hop.
Hip-hop was about keeping it real.
Listen and subscribe to Beyond Black History Month on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's kickoff time, St. Louis. Shop Rally House for the best selection of St. Louis City SC gear as your new team takes the pitch during their inaugural season.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Shop St. Louis City SC in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Broadcasting from the Underline Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
They're ready.
I'm Paul DeYoung. I'm Tommy Edman. I'm Wilson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright.
It's Cardinals spring training baseball today as they take on the Nationals. Ameren pregame show 11:55. First pitch 12:05. Hear the game here.
I'm ready to play.
KMOX is Cardinals Radio.
It's the show on KMOX. Amy and Chris are with you this morning. You can listen on the Odyssey app and go back and get the podcast if there is anything that you missed, like our upcoming interview here with Representative Brad Crist, who is a rep from the 96th District. And he is a Republican, so he represents a part of St. Louis County. And he is with us this morning on KMOX. We appreciate you being with us, Brad. How are you doing?
Doing great. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, the reason we wanted to have you on is, heck, the car stuff, the car jackings, the car violence, all of these things that have been happening in St. Louis over the last several months, and I guess you could go back even further. People want something to be done, and you have proposed a bill. It is House Bill number 570 that has stiffer penalties for carjackings specifically. What is different about this bill than what is already previously on the books?
Great question. And so this bill does a couple things, and I got together with a number of law enforcement agencies in my district and out of my district to talk about crime and a few things we could do in Jefferson City to address it. So the first bill I did file was this one on the automobile thefts and the automobile break-ins. And what the law would do is, currently in the burglary statute in Missouri, motor vehicles are not in the statute. So it would put motor vehicles in the burglary statute and increase those penalties if someone were obviously to commit that crime. And then it increases it if they commit it with a firearm as well. A number of these criminals are heavily armed that are breaking into these vehicles in the city and in the county and the region, really. And then the other aspect of the bill, it's twofold, is it does clarify and make it very clear that attempting multiple vehicles had problems with that as well. And that's hopefully going to prevent these folks from just going door to door and jiggling door handles.
And this would make it statewide, because already counties and cities are making it illegal to jiggle door handles, whether it's downtown or Shrewsbury or further out in the county.
Exactly. So a number of municipalities and law enforcement agencies are making ordinances and laws, and this would make it statewide. And a number of police departments have asked for that to be statewide.
And it also, under the proposal, carjacking without a weapon would be classified as a Class B felony. So then the minimum sentence for that would be 5 years. What is it currently?
It's the felony below. So I think it's a class. Did you say B or D?
It would be classified as a Class B.
Yes, correct. And I think it's a C or a D right now.
Okay. Now, what about those who push back saying, hey, this sounds great. We need to have stiffer penalties for carjacking, but that won't do anything if A, there aren't enough cops to catch the carjackers, or B, if those carjackers aren't caught, you don't have a circuit attorney or anyone prosecuting the criminals.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. You can make all the laws in the world if they aren't enforced and they aren't prosecuted, they become kind of irrelevant. So we're handling crime a few different ways in Jefferson City this session. We passed out of the House Bill 301, which would allow the state to appoint a special prosecutor in areas where crimes aren't being prosecuted, and that passed a few weeks ago. And it's headed over to the Senate, and it's gotten a lot of attention in the last week, obviously, with the situation in St. Louis City and Kim Gardner. And then I have another bill, House Bill 702, which will hopefully be heard on the floor this week or next to bring back some state oversight to the Metropolitan Police Department in St. Louis. So hopefully we can get the department back together and prosecution and good laws and really tackle this crime.
How does the St. Louis Police Department feel about that? You got the new police chief who's been on the job for just a few weeks, Robert Tracy. What is their feeling on it?
So every fraternal order of police department is behind both pieces of legislation, the special prosecution and the state control of the police department. You have the state FOP, the city FOP, the county FOP, and the Ethical Society of Police as well. Chief Tracy has come up and testified against it. He'd like a chance, and he's only been here a few weeks. He'd like an opportunity, and I don't think he has a fair chance right now. I think he needs a fighting chance. He's walking into a depleted department with the lowest number of police officers the city has seen in decades, extremely low morale, extremely low funding with leadership that continues to cut funding. So I would love to give Chief Tracy a chance, and I think these pieces of legislation give that.
What kind of support is this bill getting right now in the Missouri legislature?
It's got tremendous support, and it actually has some bipartisan support as well. There's a number of people in the legislature that think this is a good step. Look, it's not going to be the silver bullet. This isn't going to fix things overnight, but it's a start. Something has to be done. They went to city control in 2012, 2013. So we had this 10-year experiment, and crime has extremely risen since then. We have leadership that is continuously corrupt. You've seen and heard about the sentencing and our board of aldermen. We have leadership that's defunding the police, and those things aren't helping. So we have to come in and help as a state legislature and help the city. That's really the engine to the state. Over 40% of our GDP. It affects the entire region. It affects the entire state.
Do you believe, and we are talking to Representative Brad Christ here on KMOX, represents parts of St. Louis County, South County. What is different about St. Louis compared to some other cities? Because nationwide, in cities across the country, there has been an uptick in crime pretty much everywhere. And I don't know if we're all that different here as far as that goes, because we've seen it in a lot of places since the pandemic happened, and that kind of set a lot of areas back. What do you believe is different about St. Louis than what we're seeing in other cities?
Well, it's risen a lot higher in St. Louis than other cities. I mean, we're consistently in the top 5 of crime per capita in the country, and we've consistently seen that rise. We were on the top 10 list of most dangerous cities in the world not too long ago. And part of that's the makeup of the region. I mean, not a lot of areas have a city and a county kind of breakup like us. You know, the city's only 300,000 people, but still, even if you bring in the county, the crime per capita is way too high. And almost every metropolitan police department has some sort of state oversight over it, whether that to be Department of Public Safety, the legislature, whatever it might be. And this brings back that oversight control. And again, we call it state control, but it's still, in my eyes, local control. It's 4 appointed positions by the governor, but they have to be St. Louis City residents, and it has the mayor on the board. So it's a 5-member board made up of all citizens of the city of St. Louis. So while they are appointed by the state, it's still local control in my eyes.
So there is a lot of support for this, as you've mentioned. What's the timeline? What are we from now until implementation?
We'd have to get it through the House and the Senate, and then the governor would have to sign it, and it would go into effect in August, if all goes well.
We were talking to Representative Steve Butts about the special prosecutor and how it did have bipartisan support, but part of that bill also included language that would make it, I believe, illegal for kids, juveniles under the age of 18, to carry a gun without supervision from a parent. And I know that when it comes to making gun laws, it can be very divisive. It often does tend to fall along party lines. But when it comes to laws like that, kind of that common sense gun law, saying, okay, well, if you're going to have a gun and be under the age of 18, you need to have adult supervision. What kind of support or pushback are those types of discussions getting in Jefferson City?
Sure, great question, and I'm very grateful that you asked, so we could clear some of this up. So this was kind of politics as usual, which I'm learning quickly up here as a freshman. But it was an amendment they put the Democrats tried to put on the bill that was quickly put on, did not have Republican support. It's not unreasonable, right? Folks in law enforcement, like I speak to, say, look, we don't need 12-year-olds walking around the city of St. Louis with rifles on their shoulders, and we can't do anything about it. So we get the problem. The law enforcement's talked to us about it, but it wasn't the time or place, and they tried to sneak it on. They knew it wouldn't get the votes because it would have brought the entire bill down. And this is a very, very important piece of legislation. But those conversations are still being had, and I think it's better put under some juvenile legislation that we're trying to talk about and get through. The other thing that is not brought up about this, because they got the national headlines, which is what they wanted, that we voted against this gun legislation for minors. But what they don't talk about is there was gun legislation on the bill in Blair's law, which makes it a crime to go out and have celebratory gunfire. And a Democrat from Kansas City area put that on, and we passed it with the bill. So there was gun legislation, but that's not going to get the national headlines, obviously. And I think that topic will come back up.
Don't you think it's more than just getting headlines? Because there is not a reasonable person out there who doesn't believe 12-year-olds should be banned from walking around streets with rifles on their shoulders.
I agree with you. And like I said, it's reasonable. The way they tried to put it on the bill and get it through, they knew it wouldn't pass.
Why wouldn't it pass?
And they knew
if it's reasonable and everybody wants it, why would that not pass?
Because it was very broad. And 2A is a very touchy subject, obviously, as you know, and there's very different views on this from urban to rural. And rural, it's a big part of their culture. And minors do carry guns out in the rural areas. And it was a very broad amendment that they put on that a lot of rural Republicans weren't comfortable with yet because they didn't have time to vet it. This also went through a committee, through the Crime and Prevention Committee, and it came out without it on it because they weren't comfortable with it. And then they tried to put it on the floor. So it was too broad. They knew Republicans weren't comfortable with it, especially in the rural areas. And they knew it wasn't going to go through, and they tried to put it on the floor again to get that headline. So it is reasonable, like I said, but just the way they went about it was unreasonable.
What kind of appetite do you think there is in Jefferson City to look at juveniles with guns? Like if it was put on the bill too quickly and there wasn't time for representatives in the rural areas to vet it to their satisfaction, will they say, okay, but we're going to go back now because we see that crime in the city is bringing down, all of the surrounding areas, St. Charles County, St. Louis County, that it isn't unreasonable to say that, a 14-year-old shouldn't be carrying guns around, and also to know that so much of the gun violence taking place in the city is by juveniles. Is there an appetite then for Republicans who voted, no, who didn't want that part of the bill, to go back then and say, okay, now we're going to address it? Or is this something that just falls by the wayside?
No, I think there's an appetite for it. And I think it will come up again around some maybe juvenile legislation. But there's a much bigger appetite for it when you try to get things done in a professional way and you try to work with the sides of the aisles and understand each other's agreements and disagreements on it. And I just think that the way they started this off in the beginning of session was a bad way. But I don't think I think it will come back up, and I think there is an appetite for it. It just has to get done the right way where we get, obviously, the majority to vote on it. And it wasn't the way to go about it the first time.
Brad Christ, we appreciate your time today on KMOX. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
you
Thank
too.
you.
That is Representative Brad Christ from St. Louis County District 96. You would think if gun crimes are objectionable to people, with the million bills that get proposed every year in the House and in the Senate, why would that not be a first order of business? Should that not be one of the very first things we propose if it is reasonable to everybody?
Maybe we get a couple of representatives, maybe Steve Butts, maybe Representative Christ again in the studio and ask questions and talk it out, because I do think to have a discussion.
Sure.
And they, Representative Christ have answered our questions.
Sure.
Representative Butts is awesome as well.
Look, but if both sides, if Republicans also say this is very reasonable, prove it. Prove it to me that it is reasonable and something you want to do. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on the show.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and includes 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Your retirement plan was solid. You'd sell your home and use all that hard-earned equity to live your dream. No one saw inflation hitting a 40-year high or the housing bubble that could crater your home's value. So what do? You can put your retirement plans on hold indefinitely, or hope to sell your home before its value crashes and then find a new place to live. What if your best move is no move at all? Truehold will buy your home today before values plunge. But here's what makes Truehold unique. You can keep living in your home, paying a comfortable rent. The cash is yours now for travel, retirement, invest it, pay off your bills, anything. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. Truehold is the simple, easy solution to unlock financial freedom without having to move and disrupt your life. Discover how much Truehold will give you now for your home while its value is high. Call 1-855-300-9993, 855-300-9993, or visit Truehold.com.
Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. The Amazing Payment Freedom event is back at St. Charles Nissan. All you need to do is head to St. Charles Nissan, choose your favorite new ride, and then drive payment-free until the summer of 2023. That's right, you make no car payments until summer 2023 at St. Charles Nissan, conveniently located a quarter-mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off I-70, or you can visit online at stcharlesnissan.com. Interest, if any, accrues during the deferral period, expires 2/28/23.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com, or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When choosing a skilled nursing memory care community, choose Park Provence. Considered by U.S. News and World Reports as a best memory care community. For nearly 20 years, they've been the experts at treating dementia and Alzheimer's disease. If you're faced with making a difficult decision for your loved one, talk to the leaders at memory care at Park Provence. Learn more by calling 314-542-5200 or visit parkprovence.com. That's PARC Provence.com.
Charlie Brennan here.
Last year, Beth and I discovered water in the ceiling near the chimney in the front of our house. We immediately called Morelli Tuck Pointing, St. Louis's premier tuck pointer since 1991. The Morelli team then tuck pointed the front and the rear chimneys above the roof and spot tuck pointed below the roof. Morelli used a waterproof mortar that perfectly matched the existing mortar. Then the guys re-cemented the cap, sealed the flashing, and waterproofed the chimney. They then cleaned up so you could never tell any work was done. The Brennans no longer see any water in our front room, and I think if you live in a brick or stone home in need of repair, call the company that's received the Angie's List Super Service Award every year, back to back to back since 2005. Morelli, winner of the BBB Torch Award. Check out their reviews on the Google, Angie's List, and Better Business Bureau websites. MorelliTuckPointing.com, 314-645-1387.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We recently received a call from an injured person. The insurance company had offered them $11,000. We took the case over and got more than $2 million in court. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Planning for an upcoming trip? It's important to know that updated COVID-19 boosters are currently available at no cost to you. Remember that immunity could take time to build. Check eligibility and schedule at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Hi, this is Ken Newbold at Newbold Toyota. If you're worried about gas prices, Toyota has the most models of hybrid electrics in the industry. From the best-selling Camry to the best-selling RAV4, we've got it all. So come see us. That's Newbold Toyota in O'Fallon, Illinois, or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
Chris Ranji.
Wonderful bones, great eyes, and you dress really interesting.
On the show.
With Amy Marks Kors on the show, Chris Ranji, you just heard that. We are going to come back in the second hour in a moment. We've got Cardinals baseball today as well. By the way, we will get an update from the news here in a moment. The body found at Tucker, just down the street from where we work. We'll get an update from the news in a moment on KMOX.
When do you need to see an ophthalmologist? Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. Now, that's a good question. If your vision is blurry, you notice dark spots in the middle of your field of vision, you're seeing flashes or new floaters, if you have difficulty seeing distances, if there's a sharp pain in one eye along with vision changes, or if you have trouble driving because of glare, these are all good reasons to make your appointment with the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 and youridoc.com. And if your eyes are itchy and scratchy, that might be more than allergies. The doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Andrew Royer, and Robert Brusati are also leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. I've been a patient of theirs for about 25 years. In Sullivan, St. Peter's, and their main headquarters, 270 in Manchester, 314-966-5000 and youridoc.com.
If you own a small business, you know the value of time. GetRefunds.com does too. That's why they've made it easy, no matter how busy you are, to apply for the Employee Retention Credit, or ERC. Go to refunds.com to get started, and in less than 8 minutes, see if your business qualifies for ERC assistance. Your business may be eligible for a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee kept on payroll during COVID-19. GetRefunds.com has already helped clients claim over $3 billion in payroll tax refunds through the ERC, and they may be able to help your business too. There's no upfront charge either. They don't get paid until your business gets its refund. Many businesses believe they won't qualify based on incomplete or outdated information. So don't let this opportunity pass you by, because this payroll tax refund is only available for a limited time. Go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11:01, it's cloudy and 60 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. St. Louis police are investigating what appears to be a homicide on Tucker in downtown St. Louis.
This is Kevin Killeen at the Shell Station on North Tucker, just north of downtown by Convention Plaza, where there is what appears to be the body of a man laying flat on his back on the sidewalk across the street on Tucker in front of the Old Globe Democrat building. The Shell Station is surrounded by yellow tape, and a dozen or more police are in the area, many of them looking around on the pavement at the Shell Station as if looking for shell casings. This is an early investigation. The shooting happened in the 10 o'clock hour.
Parts of the plains are counting the injured, at least a dozen people, and surveying damage after at least 9 tornadoes swept through Sunday, while the Ohio Valley's on alert today for possible tornadoes.
Storm Prediction Center lead forecaster Roger Edwards in Norman, Oklahoma, says his neighborhood was hit hard by one of the tornadoes.
Broken windows and holes in the roof, pieces of roof missing.
He says elsewhere damage was greater and they're still assessing, but these were powerful tornadoes stretching through his state to the Texas border, as well as Kansas and possibly Missouri.
Our tornado threat today looks to be concentrated in central, southern, and western Ohio for the most part.
As for the rest of the country, Edwards says out west in the Sierra for the next 2 days and along the East Coast, including New York City tomorrow, snow is in the forecast. I'm Julie Walker.
Spring is just around the corner, and so are the return of scooters to downtown St. Louis. But officials say this will be different. A 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew, only 300 allowed, and account holders not able to unlock more than one scooter per account. The new contract also requires ID verification through the app. Scott Ogilvie with the city's planning and urban design agency.
We think will significantly cut down on kids riding scooters. And the companies additionally have some, I think, additional technology they're using to assess that and minimize it.
Ogilvie promises more rules on parking the scooters. Food insecurity is about to become a much bigger concern for tens of millions of Americans.
Jacqueline Benitez is among the many losing their food benefits under the federal SNAP program.
I don't make a lot. I'm a preschool teacher. It's really difficult to try to afford food. So SNAP has helped me so much in that way.
Kyle Wade is president and CEO of the Atlanta Community Food Bank.
This is going to increase demand at food pantries all across the country.
SNAP benefits will be allowed to expire this week for some 30 million Americans. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
The KMOX business desk, more than 1 million 3-wick candles from Walmart's Mainstays brand have been recalled over a potential fire hazard. CBS's Matt Piper.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission says several 14-ounce Halloween and autumn-themed candles have wicks that can burn too close to the glass container, causing them to possibly shatter and cause fires or injuries. People should immediately stop using the candles and contact the manufacturer for a full refund.
Down from Steeples up 57 points to 32,873. Some debris on 370 East at 94, Center Lane, 170 North at 270 West. Watch out there.
Partly sunny skies this afternoon and mild temperatures, 68 for the high. But the big deal, strong and gusty winds. Some of the wind gusts could be pushing 50 miles per hour. So a little extra care out there, especially on the highways. Watch out for flying trash cans. Tonight, clear skies, gusty winds up until about 9 o'clock. Then they fade. 38 Tuesday. Sunny, light winds, nice 62. Wednesday, partly sunny, 65. Thursday, increasing clouds, 49. So a little colder on Thursday. And watching a chance of some light rain and wet snow Thursday night into early Friday does not look like much. And it won't hang around because temperatures back into the 50s over the weekend. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Cloudy and 60 in Florissant, 60 in St. Peters, and 60 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Move in. Great spin out of trouble. Giacchini
Yeah,
from
he's on.
midfield pokes it on. Klaus in space. Klaus down the right side of the box. Cuts it back toward the middle.
Oh!
City leads! Oh, isn't this wonderful? Jean Klaus in regulation.
Good start for the St. Louis City SC franchise. A win in Austin over the weekend, and we are officially an MLS city here in St. Louis. That call on Y98. You can catch all of the games on Y98. I think some are going to be on KMOX too.
I just wish there were more emotion in that call.
Yeah.
It was a little dry.
I wish Joey Zanaboni cared more
I know.
about the soccer
It
team.
needed more animation, more exuberance.
He and Dale Schilly have the call of every game, and you can catch them on Odyssey St. Louis. Really looking forward to the season, which is underway now. Next game is over the weekend, and one of the first people to attend a St. Louis City SC soccer game is Tom Timmerman from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He was in Austin over the weekend and joins us this morning on KMOX. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Amy. It's exciting to be here.
See? You hear that
That's
excitement?
the kind of emotion we're talking
That's
about.
what we're talking
Tom
about.
T
Tom.
knows what's up.
What's so?
I know the audience, I think, is what we're getting at.
That's right. So it was a game that didn't happen here, and I imagine this Saturday is going to be, as they say, lit. What was it like in Austin?
Tim Parker off the team said, we knew that if it was going to be a riot in Austin, and that if we won that game, it was going to be even a bigger riot when we got back to St. Louis for the game. And that's what I like. Austin is one of the most vocal, animated crowds in the league. The stadium there is very similar to St. Louis and how it's constructed. So that was a raucous environment there. I got to say that the press box is sealed and enclosed there. So I didn't have the full experience for most of the game, but it was quite an atmosphere there. And they were, that was a game in which they thought Austin's a really good team. It's going to be tough to go there. That the bigger test would be this weekend when they played Charlotte and came back. So to get a win in Austin was pretty impressive.
Tom, first of all, I miss our hangouts in the Blues hallways at Enterprise and locker room as we're waiting for players to show up. Chris, Tom is a true Renaissance man. You have two family members who've been on Jeopardy and won. Tom Timmerman is like a walking Jeopardy file. So I missed that. But with covering the MLS, is it pretty similar with getting to know the players, being down in the locker room or the clubhouse before the games, after the games? What's the vibe of the St. Louis team?
Well, it's amazing when you look at, not amazing, but it's interesting when you look at the St. Louis and professional sports world, is that you look at what baseball players make, you look at what hockey players make, and then you look at what soccer players make. So the highest paid guy on St. Louis City makes $1.6 million. So that gets you slightly past his rookie, contract NHL player. So the most expensive guy there is like one of the lowest paid hockey players. And some of these guys, they are the rare professional athletes. They make what I make, so it's a much different comparison. And so they're good guys. And I think when Lutz Pfannenstiel put this team together, he went out, and one of the things he was looking for was good guys. One of the players, in a quote that I often use, but not publicly because it has words that can't be used, basically said there's no jerks on this team, though his language was far more colorful on it. But there's good guys that, you're not really in the locker room, but I will be standing on the side of the field and players will just run over and say hi. So, which is not something that I'm used to. Hockey players, baseball players don't really do that. But like, Edu Leuven, who's their star midfielder, just like before coming out on the field, hi, great to see you. Thanks for coming here. And it's just very few people other than Amy are excited to see me, but these guys are. So it's a genial group, and they are very easy to get to know.
Yeah, just wait till you start with pointed questions.
That's what's been said. Yeah,
I know how you reporters are.
Good now. Yeah. No, right now there's nothing but good things, and we'll see after they have a 4-game losing streak or somebody messes something up. We'll see if it's different then. But they are in general. It's an easy bunch you can know, and I think as St. Louis gets to know them, they will say, God, this is a good bunch of guys that is easy to root for.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. This is going to be the first game ever here in St. Louis. It'll happen this weekend, and of course, you can hear it on Y98. I think even people who are on a very casual basis with soccer are looking forward to this. Is there any reason to think that this won't be one of the premier soccer cities in terms of support? I mean, I know it's going to be early. It's the very first season, but it seems to me that this city in particular would really support that team from the start.
Yeah, I think that would be. There's every reason to think that. I mean, there's a history of the sport in this city. You don't have to, go too far back to find. Well, you do have to go far back, fine, because you have to go back 50 years to find when St. Louis U was winning titles. But there's the legacy has lived through. St. Louis has produced players that have gone on to play internationally, both at the men's and women's levels. There are players that come through here. It is a city that, to my experience, knows the sport very well. And there are a lot of fans, and there's a small core group of, the Luligans who have stuck with, the various minor league teams that have come through here, AC St. Louis FC, the Athletica, and the women's team that was here. And there's the group, and they've been with them, and they are waiting for their chance. But, yeah, this is going to be a team that I think a lot of people are going to, embrace. And whether they've got kids playing soccer, or it's more accessible than hockey, or it's easier to understand than hockey, or it's warmer than hockey. I think there's just a lot of reasons that this team will be embraced, because this city knows soccer. There are some cities like Charlotte, who they play this week, which has sort of a soccer history, but not a great one. Certainly not as deep as St. Louis is. And as they like to say, St. Louis, America's original soccer capital. Though I will say that, St. Louis is to soccer like Portugal was to world exploration. If you go back to the, 1500s, Portuguese sailors were going out and discovering the world, and then they kind of stopped doing it. And St. Louis, by not having a team in MLS in the league's first 27 years, kind of gave up some of that ground. And obviously places like Dallas and Los Angeles, which, Miami, places which have better weather, have produced far more players, but St. Louis has a history and I think has a solid fan base.
Well, and speaking of those fans, Tom, you said you were on a flight with quite a few STL City fans on your way to Austin. Does it seem that the fan base traveled pretty well for that game?
They did. I mean, I think there's a finite number of seats, that are available for visiting teams, especially in a place like Austin where they draw very well. But yeah, I mean, pretty much 90% of my flight down on Friday night was, St. Louis City fans, or at least were wearing St. Louis City gear. So, yeah. And, I think when they play Kansas City and play Chicago, especially when they play Chicago, because there will be a lot of tickets available for that one, that you're going to see very strong turnouts. And fans, traveled with them in the last year with City too. They would have, small groups of, that would go to Columbus for games. So yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of fans. Now you'll see fans also, though. You'll see Kansas City fans coming in here and Chicago fans coming in here. But I think the fan base here, in part because they've been waiting for this for so long, is going to embrace every chance they get of this team.
Okay, Tom. Well, we're so glad that you could join us today, because you had a pretty scary experience in Austin. You were in a lift and you almost got T-boned?
Yeah, I mean, almost, I guess, is relative, but yeah, we had to make a left turn to get out of my hotel and on towards where we were headed. And there were two in each direction. It was an access road with steady and fast traffic. And there was a median in the middle where you could get like refuge. And as my guy pulled out, but there was already a car stopped in the median, so we couldn't get into the median. So we were stuck in the fast lane of traffic. And then I look out the passenger side window, and it's like, oh, here's a car coming towards us at 50 miles an hour. And it's to the point where I'm actually like, making noises and like, oh no, and I'm doing the math, like, okay, I'm on the passenger side. The impact's going to be on the driver's side. So maybe we'll get pushed. I don't know what's going to happen. And the driver's like, I hope he's aware of this. You don't know when it's bad form to, we better do something because this car is coming fast. and the other car is honking its horn. And so my driver, had to take evasive action and kind of create a new lane alongside the car that was already in the median as the car, 2 seconds later, whizzed past us. So yeah, it was, I thought making a right turn out of the lot would have been the smarter move. But it's one of those moments where you're looking there and saying, yeah, this guy is coming at us, and the closing distances are pretty good right now. So, and the driver was like, yeah, no problem. And, but I was certainly concerned. So yeah, it was, it could have hurt.
My understanding is had you been in St. Louis, you actually would have gotten smoked.
Well, yeah.
Like you would have, it would have been a real T-bone situation.
Well,
we're glad you're okay.
We're so glad, Tom.
Yes, I'm glad too. I'm the gladdest guy around to do that. And it's funny, I've been thinking, I did a radio interview many years ago, and I said that St. Louis would have an MLS team in my lifetime. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be ironic if on my way to the game, I got killed? So they do in my lifetime have had a soccer team. So I mean,
you know what?
That's brilliant.
Listen, if you were somewhere on a planet somewhere else and that happened to you, that'd be awesome.
Hilarious.
Died on his way to the first game after he declared there would be a team in his lifetime. The irony.
Just the irony, man. The irony.
Just
to prove me wrong.
Wow.
And Amy, before I go, I wore the bolo tie because it was a historic event.
I love that. Tom Timmerman with the bolo tie. Okay, so for just in case people have forgotten, Game 7, Stanley Cup Final in Boston, St. Louis. I wore a bolo tie. Tom Timmerman wore a bolo tie because
you did.
I did. I wore
Why?
like a black suit and a bolo tie because it was a historic moment. It was a really important game.
So what does a bolo tie have to do
I
with
wanted
it?
to dress up and make it special. Tom Timmerman and I
That's
wore the
special,
exact
all right.
same thing to Game 7. We have a picture of it.
It's not the kind of special
we
you
have-
think, though.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
And I should note that was the last time I'd worn the bolo to a sporting event.
No kidding.
So I went from Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals to the first game of St. Louis City SC.
Well,
between bolo wearing.
You probably really fit in Austin though with the bolo tie.
I did. It was the
that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
But
if
I
you-
would have worn it wherever it was.
Yeah. Well, and you could say he died doing what he loved, wearing bolo ties.
That's right.
Wearing a bolo tie.
Tom, we are glad you're safe. We're glad you're back, and I know you're looking forward to covering the rest of this MLS season, and try to stay safe out there.
I will do that, and stop on by a game and say hi sometime.
Absolutely.
It's the opener. It's a big event.
Yeah, if we're allowed in. We're not one of those high society types that gets to go into all these games,
Yeah, I think you could pull some strings here and get in. I
see.
think
Every time
you
I ask
qualify as
somebody
right
around
goal.
here, they just ignore me.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
I
our
don't think I
boss,
want to.
Steve. Can we go to the game? No.
No. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, Chris. Bye, Amy. Bye-bye.
Tom Timmerman, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, near-death experience in Austin, then got to see a thrilling St. Louis City win. Wow. What a great start.
What a weekend.
Too bad I missed 60% of the game.
Yeah.
And then, so like I told you, I was at the second bar where the first bar I went to, Apple TV went out.
Yeah.
14 minutes into the game, they did not fix it for the rest of the game. So we left, we tried a different place, and somebody at this bar had gone home to get their Apple TV box to plug it into the bar, to the bar's TV, but there was no sound. And so when they scored the tying goal, like people were drinking and not really paying attention. And I'm like, they just scored, and nobody's reacting at all. I thought this is just
That's
great.
a very
This is
you
so great.
situation.
Yeah.
Where you go to a bar for the game, it goes out and then the Apple TV goes out. You go to a different bar. Somebody's, what is it? Jimmy rigged the TV with their Apple TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's you. That's on brand for you. An
That
on brand
happens to me.
experience. Yeah.
And then it was making me doubt whether or not that goal actually got scored because nobody else is cheering. It was just me. But they did. It was fun. It's
good.
great. I'm looking forward to it. Saturday it will be fun as well. All right. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. We're late for a break, but that's okay. It's KMOX.
2 ways to listen to KMOX in your car. 98.7 in the city, 1120 AM further out. The voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now. 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
Hey guys, this month's DGS KMOX special with Zero Res is 3 rooms cleaned, starting at just $119 plus. They're throwing in a free hallway. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning for the month of February. 314-474-2020. ZeroResSTL.com.
KMOX celebrates Black History Month, honoring Black icons.
Simone Biles used her boundless energy, natural talent, and skillful determination to become the most decorated gymnast of all time, touting a whopping 32 medals, including 19 gold medals from the World Championship and 7 medals, 4 gold, from the Olympics. We salute Simone Biles.
KMOX, celebrating Black artists, athletes, and trailblazers all month long. More at KMOX.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Trusted information, live and local. From the award-winning KMOX Newsroom.
Always read the instructions.
Okay,
or read the labels, because I was told of something that you did because you weren't paying attention.
Well, okay, that's fair. I had to call poison control.
Yeah, okay.
For the second time in a couple of years. But
The second time?
yeah, I will say this. I just want to say a shout out to the poison control people, which are local nurses, the work in the poison control call centers at their various hospitals. They're the nicest people. I mean, I just want to be the friends of the poison control. And I almost am, because I've called them enough. Here's what happened.
Unbelievable.
I had dry eyes on Thursday. And let me just say to all the doctors listening, I'm fine. It's been taken care of. But I had dry eyes on Thursday. My eyes were really kind of dry. So I got some drops that I had that were left over. Little, the plastic. They're like eye drops, and they come in they're lined up like little plastic, single use. You rip them off, you tear the top off, you put the eye drops in, you throw it away. So it wasn't a bottle. It was the little clear plastic things. Put some eye drops in my eyes on Thursdays. On Thursday. Maybe it helped. I wasn't quite sure. Because, your eyes are itchy or whatever. The next day, put more drops in. That's Friday. Mid-morning on Friday, put more drops in. Afternoon, keeping the eyes lubricated. Put more drops in. Friday night after dinner. And finally, Friday night before I went to bed. I took my contacts out and put the drops in, and they sting because I'm like, wow, my eyes must be really dry because they sting when I put them in. And I looked to see what brand it is, because you can't really see on the clear. The label is just an imprint on the clear plastic. So you have to really look to see what brand it is. And I did. And I looked, and it said albuterol sulfate for inhaler purposes only, not for injection. which
So-
didn't sound like an eye drop brand.
No, it goes in your
TBH.
lungs.
Goes in your lungs. Albuterol sulfate. So I did the worst thing that you can do, which is Google what happens when you get albuterol in your eyes.
Turns
And
out you're blind.
pretty much. So if you have glaucoma, it can make it worse because it increases ocular pressure and narrows the blood vessels. If you don't have glaucoma, you could get it, and you could also go blind for the rest of your life. So I started to panic. I thought, okay, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And I thought I could go to bed and then wake up blind because whatever is happening. So I'm rinsing my eyes out. I call Poison Control. And I feel like she might have been Googling it too. Like
Yeah,
it didn't
well,
happen a whole heck of a lot.
Because how many idiots do what you did?
Well, I don't know, but I don't think they should put albuterol in the single-use eye drop containers. They're very confusing. So
you,
I called the Poison Control. She did some typing. I could hear the typing.
This
And she
sounds
said, okay,
bad.
here's the thing. You don't really have beta receptors in your eye. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And albuterol is very fast acting. So if you were to have any bad side effects, you'd probably notice them by now. And how long have you been using them? I said, about 36 hours. I did have some ocular pressure the next morning. My eyes were a little dilated, you could say, but I got new contacts. I rinsed out my eyes and I'm fine.
I've never had to call Poison Control for any reason. I'm curious to know if other people have. 314-436-7900. Read the labels. Matt Pauley is next on KMOX.
Following the Dave Glover Show at 5 o'clock, it's Total Information PM. Hey, I'm Michael Calhoun. Check in with Kevin Wheeler and me for the latest news and information. Roger covers your commute. Dave Murray's got the forecast. Matt Pauley has sports. We'll take deep dives on local issues and help you be a smarter consumer. At 5:30, the CBS Evening News helps you understand what's happening around the country and the world. Total Information PM at 5 o'clock, right after Dave Glover on the trusted voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-5555. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, behind on taxes houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-5555. That's 314-782-5555.
At 11:30, it's cloudy and 61 degrees downtown at the Arch. This just in, an update on the Kim Gardner removal case. The first order in the suit was issued today by Special Judge John Torbitsky. He's decided to allow Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner to stay in office for the time being. He's also giving her 14 days to respond to the Attorney General's petition for quo warranto, which seeks to remove her from office by claiming she hasn't fulfilled the duties of the job. Torbitsky was appointed after the entire St. Louis Circuit Court recused itself because those judges may be called to testify. An investigation is underway after a man's body was discovered on the sidewalk in downtown St. Louis.
This is Kevin Killeen at the Shell station on North Tucker and Convention Plaza, surrounded by yellow tape, and across the street on Tucker in front of the Old Globe Democrat building, lying on the sidewalk is the body of a man laying on his back. Some witnesses here say he was shot in the head. Police gathering around, doing their investigation. We don't know who did the shooting or if there was more than one victim, but at least one man dead on the sidewalk here, North Tucker at Convention Plaza by the Old Globe Democrat building.
A planned SpaceX launch of 4 crew members to the International Space Station was scrubbed at the last minute.
I'm Peter King at the Kennedy Space Center. SpaceX says flight controllers saw a problem with the ground control system that lights the Falcon 9 rocket engines. Less than 2.5 minutes left in the countdown, they stopped the clock.
You are go to step into 5.100 launch scrub.
5.100 launch scrub.
This is the first last-minute scrub for SpaceX since it started flying station crews. Peter King, CBS News at the Kennedy Space Center.
We've got a crash on 64 East at Winghaven. It's on the left shoulder. Also a stall 44 West at Barry, so watch out there. Clear sky tonight, windy in the evening, chilly with a low 38 degrees. For tomorrow, the high 62. Tomorrow night, 48. For Wednesday, high 65. It's 61 degrees at the moment downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Rally House. Shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's kickoff time, St. Louis. Shop Rally House for the best selection of St. Louis City SC gear as your new team takes the pitch during their inaugural season.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Shop St. Louis City SC in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And did we mention it's aluminum free? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 903 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 903. LumeDeodorant.com, code 903 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 903.
They're ready.
I'm Paul DeYoung. I'm Tommy Edmond. I'm Wilson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright.
It's Cardinals spring training baseball today as they take on the Mets. Ameren pregame show 11:55. First pitch 12:05. Hear the game here.
I'm ready to play.
KMOX is Cardinals Radio.
Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX. The Dave Glover show is not happening on time today because we have Cardinals baseball this afternoon. The broadcast will begin at 11:55. We are 21 minutes away from the second spring game, or actually, I guess it's the third, right? Because we had a game yesterday. So there will be a ball game today that you can hear right here on KMOX. They are in the middle of Grapefruit League play. Matt Pauley is a sports fella. He's joining us now from Jupiter, Florida, I think, right?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Roger Dean Stadium, in fact.
Nice, where the Mets are going to play the Cardinals.
That is very true. It'll get started, as you said, what did you say, 21 minutes till broadcast starts?
Well, now it's 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. 20 minutes, Matt. So, first of all, usually I don't really care all that much about outcomes in spring because it doesn't really matter. But that incident, the thing with Ollie Marmol and umpire C.B. Buckner, what in the world, man? Umpires are the worst.
They are, and CB, by the way, is umpiring today's game, so we get to see him. Yeah, which is just a great job by Major League Baseball to make sure to get CB back umpiring the Cardinals game right away. It really is unfortunate. You got to be the bigger man, and you can't do something that makes you look completely without impartiality if you're CB Bucknor, and that's what happened. Now all of a sudden, every call he ever makes against the Cardinals moving forward, we're going to remember the time where he wouldn't even shake Oliver Marmol's hand. And the fact that the other umpires felt embarrassed about it and said something to Marmol about it and made sure to shake his hand, it's a really, really unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing you want to see. Umpires are supposed to be not heard, like just do your job. And I know they're human beings, so they can get upset. But the way I feel about it, that's exactly why I want robot umpires, because I don't want there to be emotions involved there. I don't want umpires to have personal vendettas. It's ridiculous.
One of the things about baseball and the everyday nature of baseball is every day is a new day, and what happened yesterday doesn't matter. What happened tomorrow isn't really factored in, and that's more so true for umpires than any other group of people in this game. Whatever happens kind of in this organic environment that is the 2.5 hour to 3 hour thing that is a baseball game, when it's over, and the next day is a new game. And the fact that CB Bucknor has been holding on to this animosity towards Oliver Marmol for the better part of 6, 7, 8 months, however long it's been, I think that says a lot about who he is as a person, because people in baseball know how to get by things on the everyday nature of this whole thing.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. How common is it for an umpire to hold on to something like this throughout the rest of the season, throughout the offseason, into spring training? You see it with players sometimes when there's a huge fight or one player has a beef with the other, but this seems unusual and a bit petty from the umpire.
It is. You can't hold on to stuff, good stuff or bad stuff. You can't hold on to it. I was just telling somebody a story earlier today. When I was working in single A baseball, there was this umpire who missed a ball strike call. And after it would have been a strike 3, and then the inning went to hell after that for that pitcher, completely blew up, multiple runs scored, and the inning would have been over if not for that strike 3 call. Like, that happens. That umpire held on to it. And every single time we would play a game where that umpire was working, he would make it a point to go up to that player and apologize. And if I would see him out at a restaurant or a bar, he would always bring it up. That umpire was out of baseball at the end of that year. As an umpire, you can't hang on to stuff. You just have to accept what happens in a game and move on.
So, Oli Marmol, there's an investigation going on by Major League Baseball now, because he made the comment, I don't think, and he's talking about Bucknor, the umpire. He says, I don't think he's good at his job, and it just shows a lack of class as a man. And MLB is looking into that exchange between the two. Is there going to be a likely punishment?
So he did address that earlier today. We had a media scrum with him in the dugout a couple hours ago. He was reserved with his comments. He did indicate that he is not going to receive a suspension. When he was asked whether or not he received a fine, he would not answer that question, but he kind of had a wry smile on his face. So not that he confirmed it, but if you read between the lines, I believe he did receive some type of fine from Major League Baseball. He was asked whether or not he's going to go out and exchange lineup cards today with CB Bucknor working this game. He would not answer that question. So here in the next 10, 15 minutes, we'll find out whether or not Ollie's going to go out and whether or not he's going to attempt to shake CB Bucknor's hand once again.
Hey, Matt, let me ask you a question. Are you on speakerphone or something? What's going on over there?
It's very loud. I am at the ballpark, yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm not on speakerphone. I'm on the old iPod headsets when I normally...
Are you at the ballpark in front of a speaker?
Yeah, are you in front of a speaker?
Here, let me do this. Is this any better right here?
I mean,
no, it's not great.
No?
I mean, you sound okay.
I still hear your love.
Do you feel a little bit bummed that you're not the one that has the issue with the umpire because you like to pick a fight?
Oh, yeah, you do. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Hey,
I feel like
were,
you could go to bat
yes.
for Ollie right here.
Yeah.
If I was a major league manager, I would get thrown out of my fair share of games, just as Ollie Marmol does.
I knew he would.
Yeah, I can see it.
I think it'd be a real problem.
But you do it on principle. You know what I mean? Not because
Yes.
he's a hothead, but every time you get thrown out of half the games, you'd say, "Well, I did it on principle."
Yeah, always for the right reasons.
Right.
You know, we got an email, or was it a voicemail? I can't remember which, but somebody contacted us and feels like we are not nice enough to you, Matt. And to that person, I would just like to say that I don't care what Matt thinks.
Matt?
Yeah, Matt.
I care what Matt thinks.
No, you don't.
I keep telling my mom to stop calling and texting you guys, and she just won't do it.
You know what I love about the show is heavy mom involvement.
Oh my God, yeah, moms are
There's
really involved here.
A lot of mom involvement here.
In fact, my mom just texted to let me know that when my grandfather years ago drank calamine lotion, thought it was something else, and they had to call poison control.
Calamine lotion?
Yeah, I thought it was Pepto-Bismol.
Oh, you know what? That's a great point because it's that pink viscous liquid.
Yeah.
It's not as bright pink. You remember? I remember I got chicken pox and we had to take like the calamine lotion.
Yeah.
Did you put it in the bath or did you put it on after the bath?
I don't remember.
I just remember the smell.
My grandfather was part of the team that created Listerine, and my grandmother swore by Listerine because of it. And it's like the old yellow kind, not the good smelling stuff now, like the original Listerine.
Yeah.
So my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and she kept doing Listerine over and over and over because she would forget that she had already done it. So we would walk into her apartment and it would smell of just Listerine like crazy. And we had to pull the Listerine out of her apartment later in her life.
You know what? I remember the gold Listerine because I was little and that's what my dad used, like the old stinky gold Listerine. Now they have the minty Listerine. It's not as
it's not as fun.
It's not as severe.
I like the stinky stuff. Smells like Band-Aids.
So your
Yeah.
your grandpa, you said who?
Yeah, my grandfather was a pharmacist and went to St. Louis Pharmacy School, and he was part of the team that created Listerine.
Shouldn't you be an heir to the Listerine fortune?
Yeah, I don't understand.
I should. I absolutely should. Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So that's So
that's like in the.
my
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
my one grandfather is Listerine, and then my other grandfather. We've talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about it on this show. Gordon Stoplight Drive-In in Festus. That is my other grandfather, or was. He has passed away, but for people who know Gordon Stoplight Drive-In in Festus, Gordon was my grandfather on my mom's side.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yes.
Shouldn't you be the heir to Gordon's Stoplight Festus thing, whatever you just said?
I should. It's not in the family anymore, and I feel like like by eminent domain, I feel like that should just come back into our family.
I think you should be a Listerine heir.
I
you know,
agree.
this is like an Frasier, the show. Maris, Niles' wife, she was the heir. They kept it a secret the whole show, the whole series of why she was so wealthy. And she was very snobby, very elite, and they were very, very wealthy. And you never knew how they make their money. And then at the very end, you find out her family invented urinal cakes.
Yeah.
You know Frasier's coming back, right?
Oh, no. Is it?
How can they come back?
Night
Is
Court came
Frasier-
back.
Yeah, Frasier is coming back. It's going to be Kelsey Grammer. It's going to be based in Boston, though. He's left Seattle and he's returned to Boston. It doesn't sound like the Cheers bar is going to be very involved. Most of the characters from Frasier are not going to be part of it anymore. But it is in production. Kelsey Grammer is doing it. It's on I think it's on Paramount Plus.
You got to have Niles. If you don't have David Hyde Pierce, is that his name? Niles?
I don't
David
have
Hyde
any
Pierce?
idea what you're talking about.
You can't do Frasier
I've
without
never seen
Niles.
this show.
It's the best show.
You
would be the dad. You would be Marty.
Isn't he dead?
He is dead,
He passed
but
away.
not in the show. But you would be the crabby old man on the chair
Yeah.
complaining about his stuck-up sons.
Matt, I got a question for you that's baseball related. I know you saw over the weekend what happened with the Boston Red Sox and Braves, where a game came to an end because of the pitch clock. And if you're a casual baseball fan, didn't realize this season there is a pitch clock now. And the hitter and the pitcher have to be ready to go. And there's no more dilly-dallying. So you saw the game end. It was a 3-2 game. The Braves had the bases loaded, and the game ended because the hitter struck out because he wasn't in the batter's box like he was supposed to be, and they called him out. What did you think of it? I thought it was awesome.
I was fine with it because it's a spring training game, and they are very much trying to enforce these rules in the strictest way possible. I don't think we're going to see things like that in the regular season, so it did not bother me. Who's really getting upset about a spring training game? You know, one interesting thing that happened yesterday, though, there were multiple pitch clock violations in the Cardinals game for pitchers not getting the first pitch of the inning off in time. Turns out they were administering the rules wrong, and they were giving pitchers 30 less seconds than they were supposed to. Wow. And they didn't realize it until like the 6th or 7th inning, and then they changed the rules. So there's just a lot of things going on. Everybody's getting used to this here in the early going, and people get really upset about that happening in a spring training game. I would tell them they have a little bit too much time on their hands.
Oh, it's not about the spring training. I think it's awesome. If it happens in the regular season, good. And then people will figure it out. These are the best in the world at what they do. The pitchers and hitters will figure it out. And if they don't, there's something wrong with them. But I'm very glad. I loved it. I think it's awesome. And if it happens to you in the regular season, that's on you.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen in the regular season. To your point, they're going to get it figured out.
But the players will. They'll adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to. But I love the idea because so far, and I know it's early, I know it's spring training, but there's something like 30 minutes of game time is getting shaved off, and pitchers are getting the ball and they're throwing it. It's great. And that's what baseball should be. Get the ball and freaking throw it. Let's not sit around and look at each other, adjust ourselves. Let's play baseball.
John Boy on Twitter yesterday posted a video of a sequence of pitchers from last year just taking forever to throw the ball. And they said this is what people are arguing for right now because there's been a little bit of pushback on how fast the games are going. And it was funny. I watched this video, and obviously those clips were specifically selected for what they were, but it felt like a completely different game looking at those clips.
Okay, quick question. Is it a huge advantage to the pitchers for them to be able to take that long?
I don't know where the advantage lies.
Yeah,
you know, Max Scherzer was actually talking about this, about as a pitcher trying to find a way to use the advantage of the pitch clock. I think it depends on your approach as either a pitcher or a hitter on who's going to be able to take the advantage and who the old rules, who the advantage were. I don't really know what the answer to that is. That's we'll figure that out as the season goes along.
Yeah, the best of the best on either side will figure it out to their advantage. Either way, it'll happen. Matt Pauley, enjoy baseball today. Good to talk to you again.
All right, thanks for having me.
That is Matt Pauley. The baseball game, the broadcast begins at 11:55 today. Cardinals and Mets in Florida. Spring training baseball today on KMOX.
I guess my question is, why do they take so long if it's not an advantage? They're just killing time for the heck of it?
No, I mean, they're thinking. You know, they say they're thinking and they're trying to collect themselves and they're trying to build up energy so they can throw as hard as possible. And hitters do it too. They take forever to get into I love it. I love it so much. And I'm so glad they're doing it. And yes, the clock. And I hope that the umpires, I mean, they're going to have to because the clock is in their face. They have to see it. So they'll stick with it and hopefully the game will be better. Hey, a texter, Amy, in response to you putting poison in your eye. 314 texter says, so glad you're not blind, Amy. But if you were, I might finally have a shot. That's great. Care to respond?
Sounds like you have a great personality.
All right, we'll talk tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Cardinals baseball is next on KMOX.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to